All right, let's get this moving. I like to move it. It's a shame I can't play music on this, on these things, you know. All right, let's get this moving. All right, copy that. Start this. Okay, post this. Post that there. It's a process, people. It's a process. It's a process. That's working. All right. That's working. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. What will be the impact on the gold price? I'm gonna get to all of that. Is the Doppler out? I don't know. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check everything. I'm gonna check everything. Just need to get all this stuff to work because most of the time. Yeah. Why is this not working again? Can you guys see the tube? Is the tube working? Can you just check, please? Please check. I need everyone to check. I need some check-insies. Okay, that's working. Okay. Public, everything's working on that side. Can you guys see me on the tube? Can you just check? Yes. Okay, the tube is working. We have lift up in one place. Come on, let's get this working. Come. Is it working? Oh my god! You like how my life is now? My life now revolves around singular things. Where you're gonna watch Pal Street. Yep, I'm gonna watch it. Speak. I'm gonna go through, give my my analytics and understanding live. Why you not working, brev? Okay, activate. Work. Okay, good. That works. Yeah. Okay. I've got to a point where things are can you can't hear us. What do you mean you can't hear us? Don't say that to me, brev. Don't say you can't hear me, man. What does that mean? Don't hurt my feelings. You heard what do you mean it's not work? What do you mean? What do you mean? What does that mean? Good evening, Ade. Good evening, everyone. Are you all excited? I hear. Yeah, I know. That's what's important. Yeah, okay. It seems to be working. It looks. Whoa. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, I don't want to do that. Is everyone working here? Is the chat working? What? No, that's not what I want. Why is the live not working? What? Oh, it is working. Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, cool. Is the chat? Why is the chat work? Hello? Yep, okay. Only see charts. Yeah. I know. I'm working out. I go through technical difficulties, all right? My life revolves around technical difficulties. AJ, Hope has been waiting for the 4 years already. Yeah, I know, right? Everyone's been waiting. Doesn't seem to end, right? One day it'll end, right? One day we'll see those gains. All right, okay, everyone's hearing. Wait, but the tube ain't working now. Why ain't the tube working? I mean the exit. Right, this should work now. Should I add some more money to what? YouTube work, everything working, but the chat ain't coming up here. Why ain't the chat coming? 1 second, I need to do something, Bivs. Does this work? Yo, does that work? Please work. Yes. Okay. I'm sure you guys wanted to really hear that sound that came out of me. It's so quiet in this and crypto stocks and crypto. I'm gonna go through a full-blown spectrum of everything today. You guys are gonna be like, damn, Alvarez has full-blown like prepared himself today. That's what I'm hoping you guys are gonna say, right? Hopefully it's gonna be like, wait, but where's my picture? Why is my video not there? Ah, nah. Oh, you can see my camera. Wait, that doesn't work. What? That's not good. Hope it's worth the money. Thank you, man. How you hanging there? I think I need to adjust some stuff. 1 second. Just you guys are seeing my phone, and I don't like that. Let me just do that. I'll just do that. I'll just creep it. I just creep it a bit down that way. Is that better? That's a bit better. All right. Okay. Cool. Is that good? Are we good? We're good. Okay. I'll just put this here. 1 second. I just like to talk and put some ASMR in for the chat and everything else. Everything's all good. All right. Right. There's a rate cut. Do you know that? There's a rate cut? Wait, there's a rate cut? Who said there was a rate cut? Wait. 1 second. 1 second. Who said there was a rate cut? What, today? Jerome Powell is talking today? No. Wait. Wait. No. Wait, how have I not heard of this? 1 second. 1 second. Don't mess me around with this stuff, man. All right? This ain't funny. Who said there was a rate cut today? Hold up. One second. No, I think it's in. Is it at 7:30? What's the time, right? Oh, damn! It's an 8:30. All right, okay. 1 second. 1 second. There is a rate cut. 1 second. Let me hear this dude talk about how he's gonna do stuff. All right. FOMC meet FOMC. But is that 8? Wait, is it 8 or in? Wait, 1 second. I'm prepared. I promise you. I'm prepared today. I promise you, I'm prepared today. Right. Let me just see. What's the sound looking like? No, it's not ready yet. Okay, it's not ready yet. All right. Sorry. I love the smooth sounds of rate cut music. All right. Okay, cool. Right. Where are we right now? Okay, cool. When is the announcement? It's an announcement. The rate cut was announced 30. Yes, I know that they're not. Yeah, I know they're cutting. That's not. It's more about the actual conversation of what's going to happen. That's what's important. The market is dumping massively. 1 second. I'm going to get to that. Is everything looking good? Everything looks good? Fed bump to the moon. Oh, yeah. Okay, let me see if this is working. The website ain't working for some reason. On the pump for some reason. Why are you not working? Brev, why are you not working? Right. All right. We have Fed pump on pump.fun as well. At the end of this, I'm going to be giving it away to someone. So if anyone wants to get in, go for it. 1 second, let's get rid of that. Let's put this here, entire screen. There we go. Wait, did that work? That worked. I think that worked. Yeah. Right. If anyone wants to check out and get the Fed pump, we're going through all the Fed meetings and everything else. Jerome speaking now. Wait. Who said that? Don't lie to me. What do you mean he's speaking now? 1 second. Let me put Fed pump in here. Anyone want Fed pump? Go for it. That's Fed pump. What do you mean he's speaking? Don't lie to me. Where is he speaking? Is he speaking?
And in light of the shift in the balance of risks, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to lower.
What are you doing to me? What? Why are you not working? Are you joking me right now? Are you joking right now? This has to be a joke. This has to be a joke right now. Okay.
And intangibles has picked up from last year's pace. Activity in the housing sector remains weak.
All right. Okay.
In our summary of economic projections, the median participant projects GDP to rise 1.6% this year and 1.8%
Oh man, we have graphs today. Wow.
A touch stronger than projected in June. In the labor market, the unemployment rate edged up to 4.3% in August, but remains little changed over the past year at a relatively low level.
Cool.
Payroll job gains have slowed significantly to a pace of just 29,000 per month over the past 3 months. A good part of the slowing likely reflects a decline in the growth of the labor force due to lower immigration and lower labor force participation. Even so, labor demand has softened, and the recent pace of job creation appears to be running below the break-even rate needed to hold the unemployment rate constant.
Hey, who's that?
In addition, wage growth has continued to moderate while still outpacing inflation.
Good afternoon,
Overall,
everyone.
The market slowing in both the supply of and demand for workers is unusual.
Gentlemen, purple
in
tie.
This less dynamic and somewhat softer labor market, the downside risks to employment appear to have risen.
Uh-oh.
In our SEP, the median projection for the unemployment rate is 4.5% at the end of this year and edges down thereafter.
Cool.
Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal. Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index and other data indicate that total PCE prices rose 2.7% over the 12 months ending in August, and that, excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.9%. These readings are higher than earlier in the year as inflation for goods has picked up.
Yeah, that's
In contrast, disinflation appears to be continuing for services. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have moved up on balance over the course of this
That's
year
interesting,
on
especially when
news
they're
about
deporting
tariffs,
so many people.
as reflected in both market and survey-based measures. Beyond the next year or so, however, most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal. The median projection in the SEP for total PCE inflation is 3.0% this year and falls to 2.6% in 2026 and to 2.1% in 2027.
Interesting.
Our monetary policy actions are guided by our
I
dual
wouldn't say
mandate to
stagflation,
promote
no.
maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to lower the
Retail
target
growth was-
range for
was
the federal
high, so I
funds
don't think
rate
there's
by
stagflation.
a quarter percentage point to 4 to 4.25%, and to continue reducing the size of our balance sheet. Changes to government policies continue to evolve, and their effects on the economy remain uncertain. Higher tariffs have begun to push up prices in some categories of goods, but their overall effects on economic activity and inflation remain to be seen.
Yeah, all those rate
A reasonable
cut
base
chances in
case
the other
is that
times
the effects on inflation will be
can change.
relatively short-lived,
Oh,
a one-time shift in the price
what I
level.
said. It's
But
what I said.
It is also possible that the inflationary effects could instead be more persistent.
Uh-oh.
And
Don't
that is
say
a
that.
risk to be assessed and managed. Our obligation is to ensure that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem. In the near term, risks to inflation are tilted to the upside and risks to employment to the downside, a challenging situation.
Okay.
When our goals are in tension like this, our framework calls for us to balance both sides of our dual mandate.
I
With
don't think
downside
that's always
risks
gonna
to
fly.
employment
Could do
having
that.
increased, the balance of risks has shifted. Accordingly, we judged it appropriate at this
What's the
meeting to
market
take
doing,
another
I'm
step
saying?
toward a more neutral policy stance. With today's decision, we remain well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments. We will continue to determine the appropriate stance of monetary policy based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. In our SEP, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate, based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario for the economy. Based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario for the
All
economy.
doing. Okay.
The median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 3.6% at the end of this year,
No, they're rate cuts. They're definitely cut.
3.4% at the end of 2026, and 3.1% at the end of 2027.
Okay, cool.
This path is 1/4 percentage point lower than projected in June.
Okay.
As is
Sounding a
always
bit
the
dovish.
case, these individual forecasts are subject to uncertainty, and they're not a committee plan or decision. Policy is not on a preset course.
Okay.
The Fed has been assigned two goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices.
Yep.
We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations
Yeah,
well
but how are you going to
anchored.
do that if you're cutting?
Our success
Exactly.
in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans.
How's that
We
going to work?
understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission, and we at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to our discussion.
Ooh, mama. Here we go. Ooh, mama. Oh, mama. All right, here we go.
Thank you. Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. And with executive branch
All right,
ties
here we go.
in decades, does this compromise the Fed's independence from day-to-day politics? And relatedly, how can you maintain the public's perception
Ooh,
the
mama.
Fed is politically independent with this dynamic? Thank you.
So
What
we
do you
did
think he's
welcome
gonna
a
say
new
to that question,
committee
man?
member today, as we always do.
What the?
And the
What do
committee
you think he's
remains
gonna say to
united in
that
pursuing
question? That's so
our dual
dumb.
mandate goals.
What a dumb question that is.
We're strongly committed to maintaining our independence, and beyond that, I really don't have anything to share.
Yeah, I mean, what? He was gonna say, yeah, no, bro. We're listening to Trump now.
You and other Fed officials have
Stupid
spoken
crap is that.
extensively about the impact of tariffs on inflation, although perhaps with many companies appearing to eat the tariffs, tariffs may be impacting the labor market and other parts of the economy instead. Do you see that as a possible outcome here, that tariffs are the reason we're seeing some slowing, particularly in the labor market, rather than in inflation?
No.
You know, it's certainly
Nothing to
possible.
do with that.
You know,
No,
we
that's
were,
got nothing to do with it. No.
We're beginning to see, we have
Bullcrap.
begun to see goods prices showing through into higher inflation, and actually the increase in goods prices.
Unemployment
accounts
is
for most
in the
of
younger
increase
crowd.
in
It's got nothing to
inflation,
do
or
with
perhaps all of the increase in inflation over the course of this year.
Tariffs. That's the dumb
Those
question.
are not very large effects at this point, and we do expect them to continue to build over the course of the rest of the year and into next year.
Fed pump is
And
moving.
it's also possible and that there may be effects on employment, but that I would say if you're looking at why employment is doing what it's doing, that's much more about the change in immigration. So the supply
Yeah,
of workers
exactly.
has obviously come.
And the thing
way
is,
down.
it's
There's
younger
very little growth,
workers.
if any, in the supply of workers. And
Yeah.
at the same time, demand for workers has also come down quite sharply.
Trying to see what glasses to put on.
And to the point where we see
Am I
what I've called a curious balance. It's, you know, typically when we say things are in balance, that sounds good, but in this case, the balance is because both
What do I
supply
need
and
help?
demand have come down.
How
quite
much help do
sharply.
I need right now?
Now demand coming down a little more sharply because we now see the unemployment rate edging up.
Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, do economic conditions and the balance of risks no longer warrant a restrictive policy setting?
Ooh, that's a
I
question.
don't think we can say that. What we can say is this, that over the course of this
question.
year, we've kept our policy at a restrictive level, and people have different views.
So what's
but a
changed,
clearly
bruv?
restrictive level, I would say.
What's
So and we
changed?
were able to do that over the course of this year because the labor market was in very solid condition with strong job creation and all those things.
Right.
I think if you go back to April and now look at the revised job creation numbers for May, June, July, and August, you can I can no longer say that. So what that means is that the risks were clearly tilted toward inflation. I would say they're moving toward equality. Maybe they're not quite out of equality. We don't need to know that.
Right. So you're
But
saying that
we do
inflation
know
is
that
still
they've
there,
moved meaningfully
but
toward
because jobs are so
greater
bad,
equality. The risks
creation's so
between the
bad,
two
you're cutting
goals,
to
and that
forgo
suggests that we should
inflation.
be moving in the direction of neutral, and that's what we did today.
Under what circumstances would a larger than 25 basis points rate cut be warranted? And how seriously was that option entertained?
Ooh,
at
that's
your
an
meeting
interesting
this
question.
week?
I like this guy.
There wasn't widespread support at all for a 50 basis point cut today.
Good.
You know, I
that
think
means
we've done,
they're seeing strength in the
we've
economy.
done
That's a
very
good
large
sign.
rate hikes and very large rate cuts
Very, very good
in
sign.
the last 5 years. And you tend to do those at a time when we feel that policy is a place and needs to move quickly to a place. That's not at all.
What is going on? What is going on?
And see
I think everyone's trying to watch this thing. What is going on?
cuts in the last 5 years and a place and needs to move quickly to a place. That's not at all hate. And I think
I don't know what's going on right now. I think everyone's trying to watch the hell out of this thing. What is happening? Let's try this again.
In place, I guess, SEP towards more cuts than just 3 months ago, with the fact that the forecast for unemployment didn't change.
Yeah, I think you could think of this in a way as a risk management cut, because if you look at the SEP.
Is this happening to you guys as well, or is it just me? Is everyone trying to stream this thing from the Fed? What is happening? What is going on right now? No, it's just me. Fantastic. Great. Absolutely fantastic. Why is this not working? No, it's here as well. I'm okay.
In place. I guess I'm just, trying to square the shift in the rate forecast in the SEP towards more cuts than just 3 months ago, with the fact that the forecast for unemployment didn't change.
Yeah, I think you could think of this in a way as a risk management cut, because if you look at the SEP, actually, the projections for growth next actually ticked up just a
What is going on, man? Is the stream fine? The stream's fine, right? Why is this not working? On all channels, the same lag. Yeah, I think everyone's trying to watch it on here. 1 second, let me see if there's anything on, if there's a YouTube link. 1 second. I have the same issue. Yeah, I don't know what's. I think everyone's trying to watch it from this, and it's crashing the. It's crashing the line. 1 second. Yes, it's the 1 second. Is this it?
Unemployment is
yeah,
still
it works
low.
perfectly here.
Still
It's this
relatively low
website.
rate, but we're seeing downside risks.
Michael McKee from Bloomberg Radio and
better, right?
Television. I'm a little confused by your explanation of the Fed cutting rates because of unemployment. If you think that most of
That's
what's
quite cool.
happening in the employment area is related to immigration, which your rate cuts wouldn't address, how do you see that as more important than inflation?
Yeah,
which has
I'm
remained,
looking on the tube.
almost a full percentage point above your target?
Well, I was saying that what's happening in the labor market has more to do with immigration than it has to do with tariffs. That was the question I was answering. So I wouldn't say that all of what's happening in the labor market is due to tariffs. I mean, you clearly have a slowing in it due to immigration. You clearly have a slowing in demand, which is now perhaps more than that in supply. And we know that because the
Yeah,
unemployment
but how does that
rate
make
is
sense?
still
If you're removing workers,
So,
then the demand should go up, right?
up. So that's how it.
Am I not right, Brev?
Follow up. Every year since 2015, the SEP has forecast that you would hit your target 2 years later. And this year, this SEP
Look at
says
this
you're
guy,
going
he's
to hit
like-
your target 2 years later. 2% does not seem to be in sight. Does that suggest that the 2% target is not really achievable? And does this present any
I mean, like, the 2%
credibility
target is
problems
something
for
that
you
he
in
set.
telling people that that's what you're going to do if you can never reach
This is
it?
a risk management cut.
Well,
Yeah, I
mean,
think
you're
so.
right. It does say we're going to get to 2% inflation in 2028 at the end of 28. But that's literally how you put the projections
Completely
together.
fine. I mean, we need to understand, are we cutting into a recession and weakness, or are we cutting into a normalization, stabilization? That's what's important.
2% inflation and maximum employment too. So that's all that is. No one really knows where the economy will be in 3 years. But the nature of the
Says the Federal
exercise
Reserve doesn't
is
feel
to
the need to
write
move
down
quickly on
policy that you
interest rate
believe
cuts.
would return to the 2% goal over at least by the end of the exercise.
But they'll always say that. That doesn't mean anything. You'll always say
Thanks
something
so
like
much,
that.
Elizabeth Schulze with ABC News. The latest inflation report shows that prices are still going up across key categories for many households.
Why is the
including
camera guy there?
groceries. What will the Fed do if prices pick up more?
Bro!
So our expectation, and you can see this consistently through the year, has been that
That's hilarious.
inflation
Okay.
will move up this year, but that
This is good for old season. We'll
basically
see.
because of the effects on goods prices from tariffs, but that those will turn out to be a one-time price increase as opposed to creating an inflationary process. That's
wants to be
been our
famous,
forecast.
definitely.
Pretty much all the individual
Yeah, but we don't
forecasts
know
say
if
that.
it's going to be a one-time price
We can't
increase
just
because we don't
assume
have
that,
any
though, right?
stability
We
on
have to-
tariffs.
Our job is literally to make sure that is what happens, and we
There's
we will
no
do that job.
clarity on tariffs
Right
at the
now,
moment, man.
the
Who's
situation we're
tariffed
in
to
is
what?
that we see inflation. We continue to expect it to move up,
15
maybe
no
not
more,
as high as
rate
we would have
cuts in
expected it to move up
2025.
a few
We'll
months
see.
ago.
That doesn't.
The pass
the
through
positive is-
into of
the
the
positive
tariffs
is
into
not
inflation
negative
has been
yet.
slower
It's
and
not
smaller.
negative
The
yet.
labor market
Stop
has
it.
softened.
Don't
So
jinx
the
it.
case for there being a persistent inflation
jinx it.
outbreak is less. And so that's why we think it's time for us really to acknowledge that the risks to the other mandate have grown and that we should move in the direction of neutral. So what will we do?
Nothing's
We'll do what we need to do,
is gonna
but we
matter
have
right
two
now
mandates,
until
and
this
we
guy
try to
stops
balance them.
talking. We will look at everything afterwards.
For a long time, our framework says that when our two goals are in tension, this is quite an unusual situation. How do we decide what to do? Because our tools can't do two things at once.
Yeah.
What we do is we ask which is farther from, how far is each from the goal and how long is it expected to get to the goal? So, and then we think about those things. And
You're
we
being
see,
very kind.
as I
It's
mentioned,
more
we've
like
been, our policy had been really
if people
skewed
don't have
toward
jobs, they're
inflation
going
for a
to
long time,
they're
really.
going to
Now we see
protest.
that there's downside risk clearly.
Been
in
looking
the
for your
labor
account to
market, so
watch
we're
you.
moving
Thank you
in
so much, man. I
direction of a
appreciate
more
it,
neutral
CJ.
policy.
Welcome, honestly. Welcome,
Are
welcome,
you
welcome.
about the slowdown in the jobs market for households at
Why'd
home,
you have so many
especially
accounts
younger
following me?
Americans
It's-
struggling to land
I don't know.
jobs?
I have like 1,500
So it's
copycats.
an interesting labor market, and obviously we think it's appropriate that we reduce our rates so that we become more neutral, which presumably will be better for the labor market. You see people who are sort of more at the margins, so kids coming out of college and younger people, minorities are having a hard time finding jobs. The overall job finding rate is very, very low. However, the layoff rate is also very low. So you've got a low firing, low hiring environment, and the concern is that if you
well,
start to see
no.
layoffs,
That's
the people who are
disingenuous
laid
the way
off
he
won't-
said that.
There won't be a lot of hiring. going
Older
on, so that
people
can very
are
quickly
stuck
flow
in jobs. The younger
into,
people are
into
completely.
higher
They don't
unemployment.
have any.
In
They don't have
in
a possibility of finding a
healthier
job.
Economy, healthier labor market, there would be
But it'll
jobs
go-
for those people. But now the
older
hiring
people
rate
are the
is
ones that
very,
drive
very
the
low.
economy
So
as well, though, so
that's
they're the one
been
that
a
have the
growing
money,
concern
so-
over the last few months, and it's one of the reasons why we think it's appropriate that we begin to shift our policy focus.
I love you.
toward a more balanced one.
Everyone, Nick, the main man is in town. Everyone follow him. He's a legend, honestly.
Steve Leisman, CNBC.
Honestly.
Mr. Chair,
One of a kind type of
in the
dude.
past, during rate cuts, you used the word recalibration. And I wonder if you pointedly did not use it this time. And in fact, when you said policy is not on a preset course, did you mean that as sort of the opposite of recalibration? Are we meeting to meeting, data point by data point? Are we in the process here of getting back to neutral?
Yeah, everyone here follow Nick. He's a legend.
So I think we're in a meeting by meeting situation. We're going to be looking at the data. You know what, let me say a word about the SEP really here. So we often point this out. What the SEP is it's an accumulation,
Yeah, it's
of
the last one.
individual
He's gonna say
projections of
crypto at the end.
19 people, showing what they believe at a particular moment in time to
God,
be the most
Bitcoin is
likely path
jumping
for
up
the
and down,
economy,
man.
and thus the appropriate path for monetary policy as well. And as you know, we don't debate or
Pudgy
try
reserve.
to agree on what that is. We just write them down and accumulate them. We do sometimes discuss them. And so we always say we're not on a preset path, and we really mean that. The actual decisions we make are going to be based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks at the time the decisions are actually made. So you will have seen that we have 10 participants out of 19 who wrote down 2 or more cuts for the remainder of the year, and 9 who wrote down fewer than.
No,
in fact, in a
no,
good
that's
number of
not
cases,
good.
No more cuts. So rather than
Oh,
looking
no.
at rather than looking at this as certainty, I would encourage people, as always,
Ah,
to look at the
I don't like
S&P
that.
as
The market's
through
not
the
gonna like
lens of
that.
probability, and so there are different.
The
Possible
market's not gonna like
outcomes
that.
and likelihoods rather than this one is certain and this one isn't happening. So that's what I would say.
Thank you for getting to my follow-up question, which was, is the dispersion in the outlook a sign of uncertainty of policy in the meetings to come? Thank you.
Yeah, of course
It is such an unusual situation.
No, I don't think we're cooked.
Ordinarily, when the labor market is weak, inflation is low. And when the labor market is really strong, that's when you got to be careful about inflation. So we have a situation where we have two-sided risk. And that means there's no risk-free path. And so it's quite a difficult
I love that
situation for
sentence.
policymakers. And it's not at all
I love that
surprising to me
sentence.
that you have
That's the best
a range
sentence
of
I've ever
views.
heard in
It's
my
not
life.
so much about having different views for the path of the economy, but it's partly that, but it's also partly about
That's a
what's
great
the right
sentence.
thing to do in light of this, of the tension between the two goals. How do you weight them? How worried
a
are you
brilliant
about one
risk-
versus the other?
No
so
risk-free path.
It's natural. I think it would actually be surprising if you didn't
Zero.
have a pretty
There's
wide
zero
range
chance
views
of
based,
risk-free.
in this kind of highly unusual situation.
Oh
And we
man,
do.
that's the sentence.
So, but we get together, we discuss, We have a great
Oh,
discussion, and then we decide
It's
what
like
to
eating
do and
a
react.
eating
But,
a risky
you're right,
curry
though,
at 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's a wide dispersion of.
There's
of
no
views,
risk
and I
free
think that's
path from this, man.
Understandable and natural in the current situation.
That's an amazing sentence.
Hi, Victoria Guida with Politico. You've talked a lot about Fed independence and the importance of it over the years, but as markets have questions about what exactly President Trump's intentions are with the Fed, what would you point to as the things they should be watching to determine that the Fed is still making decisions based
What's my
on
3-day plan? I don't know.
the economic
Enjoying
outlook rather than
the
political
roller coaster.
considerations?
Look, it's deeply in our culture to do our work based on the incoming data and never consider anything else. That's just everybody who's at the Fed really feels strongly about that way. So, you know, you'll know it by the way we talk about what we're
Meditate,
doing,
yeah.
by the speeches that people give,
Turn
by
off
the
all
decisions that we
technology.
make. You'll know that we're just still going to do that. That's all we do.
Now, you know what could
and we
happen,
don't- we
right?
don't
I
frame
think what
these
could happen
questions
is
at
that
all or
we
see
could
them
pump
in
into the
terms
around the
of
120
political
mark.
outcomes. I think when you get to
And then
another part of
tomorrow
Washington,
could be
everything
the
is
bear
seen
trap.
through the lens of,
I
does
think
it
tomorrow
help or
could be the
hurt
bear trap.
this political party, this
Because there's some
politician,
key
you know,
levels and
that's
key
the
factors that are
framework. And I
going
think
on. It's
people
so
find it hard to believe
odd.
that is not at all the way we think about things.
Bullish or
At the Fed,
bearish?
We're taking a longer perspective. We're trying to, you know, serve the American people as best
The fact
we
that there's
can.
going to be the
So
chance of
I
less
think
rate
I
cuts,
think you would be able to tell.
and that there's no risk-free path forward, I think there could be some level of pullback. We'll see. We're just the market's trying to understand whether we're cutting into normalization or we're cutting into weakness. That's the key point. Super duper key.
Do you see the court case around Lisa Cook as being related to questions of Fed independence?
You know, I see it as a court
Can you
case. that it would
stop
be
asking about
inappropriate for me
Fed
to
independence? What do you think he's
comment
going to say? What do you think he's going to say? It's such a dumb question. Dumbass
Thanks,
question.
Chairman Edward Lawrence from Fox Business. So we saw the preliminary benchmark revisions down 911,000. The revisions for June were the first negative revisions we've seen since December of 2020. You know, how can the Fed base important decisions on
Damn
rate,
good question.
and what to do with the interest rates?
Damn good
on
question.
Data that seems to be, as you've called it in the past, noisy.
So on the QCEW, the revision that we saw was almost exactly what we expected. It was amazing how close the expectation was. So, and the reason for that is, for the last bunch of quarters, there's been
It's exactly what
almost a
you
predictable
expected.
overcount.
Why is there a
And I
revision?
think the Bureau of Labor Statistics really does understand this, and they're working hard to fix it. It's got to do, of course, it has
If it's
something
exactly
to do
what
with
was
low response
expected,
rates, but it's also got to do with what's called
Why are
the
you
birth death model.
revising it?
Because
Why
a
not
good
get
amount of
the
job
exact
creation
number
happens
that you
around
expected to come out?
New companies and how many go out of business, how many are founded.
What kind
And
of
it's just really hard. You can't survey for that.
raggedy
You've gotta
ass
have a
thing
model
is that?
predicts that. And it's quite difficult to do, especially when the economy is undergoing big changes. So, and they've been working on that and are making progress on it. But
So unfair.
you
Yeah,
know,
it's
the
usually like
data
that. We'll
we
see.
get
There's gonna be
is
a
still
question in a second
well good enough
that will
for us to do
change
our
everything.
work.
Man, Bitcoin is
To the
going up
extent
and
we
down
have
like
issues around
crazy.
data right now, it's about low response rates. That's happened all over.
Bruv,
really.
numbers.
Response rates are just lower to surveys now, both in and out of the government. And it's no great
does
secret.
that mean,
You know,
man?
we want higher response rates, and we need those to have, you know, less volatile data. And the way to get that is to make sure that the agencies that collect the data have sufficient resources to drive higher response rates. It's not a complicated problem, but that's what it takes. It's not a
Right, let's
mystery.
do that then.
That's what
I
it
think that would
takes.
be a
The
good
other
thing
I'll
to
say,
do.
Edward,
All right, let's do
is
that.
In the case of the job creation, the response
He
rate
is-
is quite low for the
he is
first month, or
making up
lower
stuff
for
as
the
he's
first
going
month.
along
By
right
the time
now.
you get to the second or third month, you're still collecting responses for that last month, for that prior month,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to the place where the data are much more reliable by the second and certainly the third month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that we don't get the data; it's just that we get it a little later.
Right, and you make policy decisions on that.
Well,
Is
for
that
the
is that what you
benchmark, if that holds, it's 51% of the jobs that we thought were there weren't really there.
Such an
It shows a weaker
idiotic thing, man.
job market coming into this year. If you had that information, would it have changed your mind?
Ooh,
related
great
to where
question.
The interest rates
I
should
like how
be?
shiny his head is. It's making me
You
happy.
know, we have to live life looking through the windshield rather than the rearview mirror, as you know. And all I can tell you is we see where we are now, and we take appropriate action, and we took that appropriate action today.
Great. That's fantastic. That's a great answer.
Thanks. Howard Schneider with Reuters. So,
Come on, Reuters.
As you mentioned a minute ago, some margins of the
Say
job
crypto.
market would suggest that the slide's already happening. The black unemployment rate in August was above 7%, declining work week, difficulty among college graduates finding work, rising youth unemployment.
Yeah.
Why do you think a quarter percentage point now is going to arrest that?
God damn, what a
I
question.
didn't say that I thought a quarter point would make a huge difference to
God
the economy,
damn.
but you've got to look at the
God,
whole capital rates.
Oh,
right?
what a
And,
question.
market's already has already
Can you
been
let us see your
baking
screen?
in,
It's right there. It says it in the
expectations.
big
Our-
screen.
Our market works through expectations, right? So I think our policy path really does matter. And I think it's important that we use our tools to support the labor market when we do see signs like that. I did mention that. You see minority
Answer the question.
unemployment going up. You see younger people who are more vulnerable economically.
Will the
more
market stabilize? I think
susceptible
so,
to
yeah, for sure.
cycles. That's one of the reasons, in addition to
We're gonna
just
have a
overall
crazy day and
lower,
tomorrow, for sure.
Payroll job creation that shows you that at the margin, the labor market is weakening. I would also point to labor force participation. Some part of the significant decline in labor force participation
You like
over
how
the
he's not
last
answering the question.
year has probably been cyclical in nature rather than just the usual aging process. So we put all those together and we see that the labor market is softening and we don't need it to soften
Right.
anymore, don't want it to. So we use our tools and,
Which
starts
is
with a 25
what?
basis point.
Exactly.
Rate
You
cut,
cut your
but
tool,
the
cut the
market's
rate
also
by
pricing
25
in a
basis
rate
point to
path.
do
I'm not
what
blessing
exactly?
what the market's doing at all. I'm just saying it's not just
Do you have to
one
be scared of the
action.
tripping watching? It could be. I mean, last time it's done 10 to 12%
As a follow-up to
pullbacks.
that,
We'll see.
The growth mix right now seems very concentrated in investment and on the consumer spending side in the higher income groups. Do you feel that that's an unsustainable mix
Damn, this
for
guy
the
is a-
economy moving forward?
This guy's a boss. What a question.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, you're
Really,
right.
why?
Those are two. We're getting unusually large amounts of economic activity through the AI build out and corporate investment. I don't know how long that will go on. No one does.
Okay, cool.
In terms of spending, you saw that the consumer spending numbers were well above expectations, and that may well be skewed toward
Pullback must be
higher,
fuel pulled.
higher
No, I don't think so.
earning consumers. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence to suggest that. Nonetheless, it's spending. So, I mean, I think the economy is moving along. Economic growth is going to be 1.5 in the 1.5%.
Oh, God, that's what you want to hear. That is what you want to hear. You want to
Forecasts have
hear
been
the
coming up, I
Fed
think
chair
it's
say
good.
the economy is.
So, labor market is
moving
unemployment
along.
is low, but downside risk.
economy
but
is-
it's still a low unemployment rate. So
Moving.
that's how we see it.
That's a great set.
Hi,
Yeah.
Stephanie Rule, MSNBC.
It's moving along, all right.
Treasury
Yeah.
Secretary Scott Bessent has said that the Federal Reserve suffers from mission creep and institutional bloat. He's now calling for an independent review. Would you support an independent review, or are you open to any sort of reform in any areas?
The question, stop. Who
I-
cares, man?
Of course, I'm not going to comment on anything the secretary says or really.
I mean,
any
like, what do you
other,
want this guy to say? That's such a
officer
stupid
says.
question.
So in terms of reform at the Fed, we just went through a lengthy and I think very successful
Stupid-ass question is that,
process of
man? That's such a
updating
dumb
our
question.
monetary policy framework. I would say there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes around the assets we have in the
What's-
Federal
what is
Reserve
this question?
Federal Reserve System and at the board. Are they the right size? We're actually going through a 10%
End it.
10%
Just end the
headcount
question. No one
reduction
cares about that
through
question.
the whole Fed, including the board and all the reserve banks. The employment at the Fed at the end of that will be basically at the same level it was more than 10 years ago. So we will have had zero job growth for more than a decade when we're finished with that, and I think we'll probably do more than that. So I think we're certainly open to constructive criticism and ways to do our jobs better.
But not an independent review?
We're certainly open to
Just
you know,
what
to
the who?
always trying to do better.
Stupid question.
Chairman,
man.
Neil Irwin with Axios.
Dumbass
There's been some
question.
debate lately on whether AI is already starting to affect the labor market
Ah,
in terms
good
of
question.
lower
Cool.
labor demand, higher productivity by contrast. Do you buy that? And if that is true, does that have implications for the monetary policy setting?
So there's great uncertainty around that.
Yeah,
I think
that's a great question.
my
But that
view, which
data is
also a bit of a guess, but widely shared. I think
terrible,
we're
so
seeing
how would
some
they know
effects,
that?
But it's not the main. not the main thing driving it. And so particular focus on young people coming out of college, and yeah, there may be something there. It may
Yeah,
be that,
that's
that
for sure.
companies or
Whereas
other
what are you
institutions
gauging
that have
from
been
Jerome as
hiring
he's talking
younger
about?
people right out of college are
I'll
able
give you
to
that
use
understanding
AI
right now,
better-
but
more than they had in the past. That may be part
he's
of the
trying to be
story.
as neutral as possible.
It's also part of the story, though, that
He's trying to be as
job
neutral as
creation more
possible.
broadly has
But
slowed
he's
down. The
to
economy
me,
has slowed
he's
down.
sounding
And so it's probably a
ever
number
so
of things,
slightly
but
more
yeah,
hawkish than
it's-
dovish, in my opinion.
It's probably a factor. Hard to say how big it is.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you cut.
What
25 basis
evidence
points.
do you see of tariffs showing up in inflation?
He
Well, if
said
you-
that.
You can take goods, just sort of the broad goods category, and
He said
last
he said
year,
it 3 times.
Goods inflation
It's
was
going to be a
negative.
singular jump
If you
up
go
in
back
price. I get
25
that.
years, that was the typical thing, was that goods inflation was, goods prices generally went down, even adjusting for quality. So that was not the case during the pandemic, of course. Goods inflation went very high, but we had essentially returned to zero or slightly
Hasn't everyone
negative
been waiting
inflation.
for this? Yes,
Now,
everyone's been
I
waiting
think
for this.
goods inflation over the course of the past year is 1.2%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a big change. So we think, I mean, analysts have different views, but we think it's contributing, 0.3 or 0.4 or something like that to the current core PCE inflation reading, which is
Wow.
2.9%. So it's contributing. What seems to be happening is that, the tariffs are
Yeah, I know, right?
not mostly
FOMC
not
spinning
being
top.
paid
That's a great
by
sentence.
exporters, mostly being paid by really the companies that sit
guy's
between
job
the
is so
exporter
hard,
and the
man.
consumer.
It's such a
So
hard
if
job.
if you buy something and you sell it through retail or you use it to make a product, you're probably taking a lot of those costs on and not able to pass it fully along to the consumer yet. That appears to be what we're seeing. All of those companies and entities in the middle, they'll tell you that they have every intention of passing that through in time, but
that's
they're
not
doing that
good.
now. To the consumer, the pass through
That's not good.
been pretty small. It's been slower and smaller than
That's not good.
than we thought. But
I don't
the
like
evidence
that.
is-
That's
it's
not a
very
good thing.
clear
That's
there's
not good.
Some pass through.
It means that inflation is coming,
I also
definitely.
wanted to ask if you could share with us the conditions under which you might consider leaving the Fed in May.
I have nothing new on that for you today.
What kind of question is that?
Hi, Katerina Saraiva with Bloomberg News. I just wanted to follow up
Dumbass
on,
questions,
one
man.
of your answers just a couple minutes ago.
what conditions would you leave your
We've
job?
often
Dumb,
heard you talk
stupid-ass
about
question.
how you and your colleagues, do not think about politics. This does not enter the room.
Yeah, but the market knows
But
now
one
that
of your new
Powell's playing
colleagues
I don't think he's playing
does
politics
come
at
from
all.
this world, right, where everything is seen through this framework of politics and of what party is being helped, and
Nothing
and
has
that
any
person is still
consequence until he
employed
finishes
by
his.
the White House.
Finishes this.
How can markets and the public interpret, some of his speeches, for example, and then some of the forecasts that we see today? I mean, the median for this year was moved because of the introduction of his forecast. I'm talking about the number of rate cuts seen this year. What do you say to markets and the public that are trying to interpret, what you guys are saying?
So there's 12 vote, 19 participants of whom 12 vote, as you know, on a rotating basis. So
Cool.
no
All right.
one voter, can really, the only way for any voter to really move things around is to be incredibly persuasive. And the only way to do that in the context in which we work is to make really strong arguments based on the data and one's
He said
understanding of the
nothing
economy. That's
that
really all
guarantees
that
inflation
matters.
more than what
And
we already know.
that's how it's
in
going to
the
work.
macro.
And
I mean, he did say
I
that
think that is the way the
that manufacturers will
institution-
eventually
that's
pass
in
on
the DNA of the
a cost
institution.
to the
That's not going to
consumer.
change.
And then I wanted to ask about a Gallup poll that showed that Americans now have more confidence in the president than the Federal Reserve when it comes to doing what's right for the economy. Why do you think that is?
Vikings, I
and
think
and
so as
what's
well.
your response? What's your message to the public?
Our response is we're going to do everything we can to use our tools to achieve the goals that Congress has given us, and we're not going to get distracted by anything. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep doing our
Markets will
jobs.
like that answer. That's a good answer.
Claire Jones, Financial Times. Given the range of views expressed prior to the meeting, I think there was a lot less dissent today than a lot of people expected. It'd be good to know just what you think the drivers were of coming to that very strong consensus in the meeting, and also on the flip side to just explain why the
inflation's everything.
plots are really so scattered between, someone even expecting rates to end up higher by the end of the year to 5 cuts. I mean, what were the kind of range of views you heard about, on one side, why there was so much support for a cut today, and on the flip side, why there's
Claire.
so much divergence about what comes next?
Good question.
So I think
Claire.
there's quite a wide assessment that the situation has changed
Perhaps,
with respect to the
could
labor
be.
market. Whereas we could still say, and did say in July, at the time of the July meeting, that the labor market was in solid condition, and we could point to 150,000 jobs per month and many other things. I think that the new data that we've had, and it's not just payrolls, it's other things as well, suggests that there really is meaningful downside risk. I said there was downside risk then, but I think that downside risk is now a reality, and there's clearly more downside risk. So I think
so
that
they're cutting into weakness,
that's
not cutting into
broadly
normalization.
accepted. And so that meant different things for different people. Some, some wrote down, almost everyone wrote down, supported this cut, and some supported more cuts and some didn't, as you will see from the dot plot. So that's just the way it is. I mean, people have, you have people who take this work very seriously, think about it all the time, do their work, discuss it with our colleagues. We endlessly discuss this
We're cutting into weakness.
Between ourselves, and
We're
then we
definitely
have a
cutting
meeting
into
where
weakness.
we put it all out on the table.
Because there is
And
no
this is
way,
what you get.
zero
And you're right,
chance that a rate
there's
cut is going to
range of
affect
views in the dots.
employment
and I think
rate
that's, like I said,
in the short term. Zero.
very unsurprising given the quite unusual, historically unusual nature of the challenges that we face. But let's remember, though, the unemployment rate's 4.3%.
Yeah, it is
The
low.
economy's growing at 1.5%. So it's not a bad economy or anything like that. We've seen much more challenging economic times. But
Cool.
from a policy standpoint, the
God,
standpoint
he's
of
so
what we're
flip-floppy right now.
trying to accomplish, it's challenging to know what to do. There are, as I mentioned earlier, there are no risk-free paths now. It's not incredibly obvious what to do.
They're cutting
So
to save the
we have
unemployment
to
and job
keep
market,
our eye
100%.
on
That's the
inflation.
only
At the
reason
same
why
time,
they're
we
cutting.
cannot ignore and must keep our eye on
It's the only thing that's changed
maximum employment,
from
which is
like
those
4
are
or
our
5
two
months ago to
equal
now.
goals.
I would
And you
expect
will
a
see
pump
that
towards
there-
tomorrow. I
there's
think the
a
pump might
range
be
of
today.
views on what
I
to
think
do.
we might get
Nonetheless, we came
a pump
together today at the meeting and acted with a
Probably
high
around the
degree of
120
unity.
mark.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Archie
they
Hall
cut
from The Economist.
0.25%.
You mentioned earlier that job creation was running below your guess at its break-even rate. I'd be curious to hear a bit more about that and where you think the break-even rate is.
Archie!
So they're
Good
there
on
are
Archie.
many
Good
different
question,
ways
Archie.
to calculate it, and none of them is perfect, but it's
April Fool's
clearly
joke,
come
oh my
way
God, tell me
down.
about it.
You could say it's somewhere between 0 and
Yeah,
50,000.
no, he's doing a good job, but
and
let
you'd
it
be
end,
right
and then we'll see
or
what the
wrong.
markets
I
will
mean,
do.
There's just many different ways to do it. So wherever it was, 150,000, 200,000 a few months ago,
Yeah,
it's
around
come
that.
down quite significantly.
Around that
That's
monkey.
because a very lower amount of people are joining the labor force. The labor force really not growing much at this point, and that's a lot of where the supply of labor was coming from over the last 2 or 3 years. So we're not getting that now. We've got much lower demand. It's
Semi-Doge, stop talking.
that supply and demand have really come down together so far, except now we do have unemployment ticking up outside, just one tick outside
Did he just
of
Freudian slip
the range
inflation?
where it's been for a year.
Did he just Freudian slip
4.2% is
inflation?
still a low level, but
Oh, man.
I think this level of this speedy decline in both supply and demand has certainly
Yep, that's
gotten everyone's attention.
inflation came out of his mouth.
May,
Okay, cool.
you mentioned the downside risk to employment a fair amount, but it's striking that measures of kind of activity and output for the third quarter, those that we have, seem pretty strong. The Atlanta Fed's GDP now is very strong. You mentioned strong PCE numbers as well. How do you square those things? Is there a chance actually could be upside risk to the labor market if those activity measures are right?
Well, that would
Archie.
be great. We'd love that to happen.
Archie!
So I don't know that you see a big tension there, but it's gratifying to see that economic activity is holding in, and it's it's a good bit from consumption. It looks like consumption was
Nothing will
stronger than
change until this
expected.
ends.
What
I'll tell
we
you that
got
now.
earlier this
It's
this
going to be
week,
flip-floppy
I
at the
guess.
moment.
And also we're getting, a fairly narrow sector is producing a lot of economic activity, which is the AI build out.
I sold so much weekly puts.
Business investment. So
good on you, man.
We watch all of it, and
Yeah,
I
man,
would
good to
say
see you. Hey, my man, how you
we
doing,
did
brother?
move up. The median for growth for this year actually moved up in the SEP between the June and September SEPs. So, and really the inflation and labor market.
There'll be a trap at
didn't
some point.
change much. It's really the
100% there's
risks
going to be a
that we're
trap at
seeing
some
to the
point.
labor market.
They're going to take out that liquidity
that were the
everywhere. I'll
focus of
show you all the
today's
liquidity maps after
decision.
Nicole. Hi, Nicole Goodkind with Barron's. Thank you for taking my question. Given the cumulative impact of high interest rates on the housing sector, I'm wondering how concerned you are that current rate levels are exacerbating housing affordability issues and potentially
The rates have
hindering
nothing to do
household
with housing
formation
affordability.
and wealth accumulation
Inflation
for a
does.
segment of
Who
the
is this
population.
person?
Housing is an interest-sensitive activity.
It's got nothing to
it's
do
at
with
the
the
very
Fed.
center of monetary policy. When the pandemic hit, and we cut rates to
question is
zero, the housing
Nicole.
housing companies were incredibly grateful, and it was really they said that was the only thing that kept them going was that we cut so aggressively and provided credit and things like that, and they were able to finance because we did that. The other side of that is when inflation gets high and we raise
Can you
rates.
make anything
and
about the
you're
dot
right,
plot
it
that
does
came in? It's
burden
all over the place.
the housing
Absolutely all over the
industry,
place.
and so rates have come down a bit, and as that happens, we don't set mortgage rates, but our policy rate changes do tend to affect mortgage rates, and that has been happening.
Yeah, they affect it
And
because of
that'll,
inflation.
of course, raise demand.
Your TikTok post today was awesome.
Lower
Thank you so much. I
borrowing
appreciate
rates
it.
for builders will help.
Everyone here should check it out
get
afterwards.
builders
It's a really,
will
really good
supply.
thing. It shows how
And
long
so
the bull
some of
run
that
can
should
be.
happen. I think most analysts think that it would have to be pretty big changes for it to matter a lot for the big changes in rates to matter a lot for the housing
Take weeks to
sector.
play out. Yeah, it's true.
And
Donkey.
the other thing is by achieving maximum employment and price stability, that's a strong economy. That's a good economy for housing. And then the last thing I'll say is, there's a deeper problem here. There's not a cyclical problem that the Fed can address, and that just is a pretty much nationwide housing shortage. Or a lot of places in the country just don't have enough housing for people, and all of the areas around metropolitan areas like Washington, for example, are very built up, and so you're having to build farther and farther out, and so that's where it is.
And just a quick follow-up. During the
Great.
last SEP, or the press conference following the last SEP, you seemed to indicate that policymakers lacked conviction about their projections, and I'm wondering if you still feel that way.
Forecasting is very difficult even in placid times, and as I've mentioned before, forecasters are a humble lot with much to be humble about. So I think right now is a particularly challenging time, even more uncertain than usual. And so I
Great.
don't know any
I like the
forecaster
uncertainty word. That's
anywhere,
lovely.
really. Ask any of the forecasters whether they have great confidence in their
What
forecast
would
right
Paul
now. I
say?
think they'll honestly say no.
As in, like you said in your YouTube, yeah.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. If you're cutting rates, why continue to reduce the size of your balance sheet, then pause the unwinding?
Question.
Well,
yeah,
I think we're cutting the size of our balance sheet quite marginally now. As you know, with the balance sheet, we're still in an abundant reserves condition, and we've said that we would stop somewhat above somewhat above an ample reserves. That's what we are, and we're getting closer to that. We're monitoring it very carefully. We don't think that has at all significant macroeconomic effects. These are pretty small numbers moving around inside a giant economy. The level of runoff is not very large, so I wouldn't attribute macroeconomic consequences.
Then
to
why are
that
you
at this
doing it then?
And at his recent
Then why are you doing it?
confirmation hearing, Stephen Myron brought up that the Fed actually has 3 mandates from Congress, not just jobs and stable prices, but also moderate long-term interest rates. So what does Congress mean by moderate long-term interest rates? How should we understand that
Who is
when
this
we see
woman?
the 10-year Treasury moving? And how do you think about this part of the mandate when policy choices like rate cuts or balance sheet reductions affect the long end of the yield curve?
Why am I attracted to this woman right now?
So,
what a question!
We always think of it as the dual mandate, maximum employment and price stability, for a long time, because we think moderate long-term interest rates are something that will result from stable inflation, low and stable inflation, and maximum employment. So we don't.
That woman has several shoulders. Remember, you're married. I know.
A third mandate that requires
Shut up.
independent action. So that's where that is.
Ask another question.
And there's no thought of, as far as I'm concerned, there's no.
I'm gonna ask my wife to ask me those type of questions.
Considering that we
I'll just unlock
somehow
something.
incorporate that in as something in a different way.
Ask me about market stability.
Thanks, Chair Powell. Matt Egan from CNN. We recently learned that average FICO credit scores are down this year by 2 points, the most since 2009 during the Great Recession.
No, yeah, this guy is
Delinquencies are
like
high for car loans, personal loans, credit cards.
I know.
How concerned, if at all, are you?
I
about
know
the
I
health
look
of
cool.
Consumer finance.
I look so cool right now.
Today's cut will help.
So,
Sorry.
we're aware of
I didn't even
that.
listen to his
I think
question.
Default rates have been
All right, yeah,
kind of
okay,
ticking
default
up, and we do watch that. They're not at a level. I don't believe they're at a level where overall they're terribly concerned. But it is something that we watch. Lower rates should support economic activity.
It looks like they don't even know.
Will have
Honestly, they don't
visible
even know.
effect on that. But over time, a strong economy with a strong labor market is what we're aiming for, and stable prices. So that should help.
Good. I'm glad that's what you're.
This rate cut is coming at a time when the stock market is at or near all-time highs, and some valuation metrics are elevated historically. Is there a risk that cutting rates could overheat financial markets, potentially fueling a bubble?
We're tightly focused on our goals.
How is he
right?
supposed
And
to answer that
our
question?
Goals are maximum employment and price stability, and so we take the actions that we take with an eye on
Stupid
those
ass.
goals.
He doesn't look.
Separately,
No, he's not. He's not.
and
He's
that's
just
why we
looking
did
very
what we did today.
suave. That's
Separately,
how he
we
gets the
monitor
ladies.
financial stability very, very carefully.
Yeah.
And, I would say it's a mixed picture, but households are in good shape, banks are in good shape. Overall, households
Just
are
thinking
still
about the
in good shape
news fuel for
in the
crypto
aggregate,
because
and I know
this
that
is-
people at the lower end of
this
the income
is a
spectrum
that
are
word
under pressure,
conference.
obviously.
Yeah, I know.
But
I
from
can't
a
read that word,
financial
man.
stability
But
perspective, we
TikTok
monitor
doesn't allow
that
me to.
picture. We don't have a view that there's a right or wrong level of asset prices for any particular financial asset, but we monitor the whole picture, really looking
He
for
can't answer this
structural
question. What kind of?
vulnerabilities.
Why do you ask these
And I would
questions?
say those are not
It's not his
elevated
job.
right now.
Gene, we'll go to you for the last question.
Say
Chair
crypto.
Carol, Jean Young with M&I Market News. I wanted to ask about inflation expectations. You've said the Fed can't take the stability of inflation expectations for granted. You mentioned at the short run they've gone up a little bit. I wonder if you can talk a bit about that. And then also at the long run, wondering, do you see evidence that the debate over Fed independence and the growing deficit is putting pressure on inflation expectations?
So, as
good
you
question.
said, shorter-term inflation expectations have tended to respond to near-term inflation. So if inflation goes up, inflation expectations will predict that it takes just a little while to get back down. Fortunately, throughout this period, longer-term inflation expectations, both break even in the markets.
If you're a beginner,
and
don't
almost
trade
all of the
anything on these
longer-term
2 days.
Surveys, Michigan being
That's
a bit
my
of an
humble
outlier
opinion.
lately, have been just rock solid in terms of running at levels that are consistent with 2% inflation over time.
Good.
So we don't take that for granted. We actually assume that our actions have a real effect on that, and that we need to continually show and also discuss our commitment to 2% inflation. And so you'll hear us doing that. But we're, as I mentioned, it's a difficult situation because we have risks that are both affecting the labor market and inflation. Those are our two goals, and so we have to balance those two. When they're both at risk, we have to balance them, and that's really what we're trying to do. I don't. Your latter part of your question was about independence. I don't see market participants. I don't see that that's something
They're
they're
cutting
factoring
because
in
of
right
jobs.
now in
That's
terms
it.
of
That's the
setting
only
their
reason why they're cutting. That's the only reason why they're cutting.
Thanks very much.
Yee. Yeah. That's a. Oh man. Let's see if there's any what the market analysis is coming out. Is there anything here? Where are we here? Where are we? Is there anything that we can watch that would give their understanding? That is, in my humble opinion, that's somewhat hawkish to me. Because they're not cutting into strength, they're cutting into weakness. And they are cutting because of jobs and jobs only. What I said before is exactly what they think is what's happening. That's what I'm thinking right now. But the thing is, this probably. Oh man, look. So let me show you some things I want to explain right now, because we're probably gonna start seeing some movement as we go along, right? I want to show you some things that I'm seeing in the market. Right now, forced to cut because of unemployment, expensive inflation. Yeah, most probably. But inflation is relatively still low. The problem is that it's in relation to what their target of 2%, right? So technically it is still low, but 0.25 ain't gonna touch the corners of what this market needs if it's got an unemployment problem, right? Unemployment isn't like inflation, man. It takes time for that to happen. That's the problem. And if we look at these key numbers here, look, especially if you look on the weekly, right? If we look at the weekly, there is some hella liquidity down here. Like real liquidity, especially, I mean, if we go a bit more, what about the 2 week where we're at the moment? Let's go a bit more. Come on, graph. You can do it. What's with the internet right now? I mean, if we're going to see some sort of pullback, right? If we're going to see some sort of pullback, I would say I'm readjusting around the 108 level, 108, 109 level, if we do get a pullback. But also there is like sexy amounts of liquidity up here. Just sitting around the 118 level, up until the 118 level, that's almost what, $400 million. What are we? Where are we right now? It would be, yeah, around $400 million sitting at the top, right? So what we could see, and what I've said many times before as well, or what I've said into various groups and everything else, this wick around here, around the 118 level, which comes perfectly in line with the mid-wick strategy, it could be an area where it could try and grab that liquidity. And the thing is, right, we're coming into a triple witching event tomorrow, which could be a pump, a bear trap, and then a dump possibly down to around the 108, 109, which is almost, I'm going to move this. In fact, I'm going to move this up. Let's move that up there. I'm going to say around here, around there. 108. If we do pull back, I think that 108 level there will be the area where this thing will bounce from. God, this is like really look. I'm going to show you some other things as well, right? All right, this understanding of whether we're cutting into strength or we're cutting into weakness. That is it. That is a fundamental thing. What he says, in essence, is not that important. We also have to look at the fact, right? We also have to look at the fact that exchange volume is going down, right? Exchange volume is going down. We look at actual volume. Actual volume is going down, right? And on top of that, where if we pump, this is a singularity thing that you need to look at. If this starts pumping, but we see volume reducing, actually falling down, if we see this thing start to, where did everything go? 1 second. Where did everything go? There we go. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. If we go into to a pump with reducing volume, that is the definition. That is the definition of a bear trap, right? Full blown definition of a bear trap that we're going into. Blah blah blah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It's really good to have the support. Also, a few other things I want everyone to understand. Right, a few other things I want to show everyone before we get into the crux of all this. We have to also understand the VIX. Right, everything is going to. Whatever. Just a minute. It's cool, man. Don't worry about it. We also have to think of the VIX, right? If we are cutting into risk off or risk on, right? Risk off or risk on. You have your sound very knowledgeable. Thank you so much. If we're cutting into a risk on environment or to a risk off environment, because you need to understand the last time they had the cut, we were in the carry trade, right? And it was a risk off environment. Blah blah blah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Blah diddy blah diddy blah diddy. If we what usually encounters, right, is a sharp drop in the VIX and a massive spike in risk on assets such as SPX and various other assets on that thing, and we would see a big drop in gold, right? But at the moment, we're getting a pump in gold, SPX, and Bitcoin. And the thing with that is that the market has no real understanding of what it's supposed to be doing, which is pretty much in my level, right? So we have to watch this VIX. If this spikes and we go into a rate cut, then that's a possibility good sign. We might have a pullback and then a massive run. If this dips, the VIX dips and we're cutting, we could be in for a more aggressive pullback. One more thing, right? I'm going to show you some other, let me just, hello? Yeah, there we go. I want to show you some other things as well, right? That's not it. I'm going to show you some other things as well. Like here, I want you to see these key factors as well, because I prepared, you know what I'm saying, Ref. Yeah, if we look at this key factors of previous rate cuts, right? And this is why I'm saying are we going into risk on or risk off environment, and whether we're going into strength or weakness. The last few cuts that have happened, all right, some have caused instantaneous dumps and some have caused a run and then an aggressive pullback. And the thing is, we're going into an environment, especially at the end of this week, where there's going to be a triple witching event where a whole bunch of things are coming into to a close, which normally, if you look at historical data on crypto, right, or on Bitcoin and everything else, the last time it happened, there was a 16% pullback, then a 12% pullback. And if we look at the pullback after this point where it hits these levels here, that comes back almost identity, to the period between 104, 108 level. More importantly, right, I want to show you some other stuff. Right now. So I'm going to just drop a bunch of knowledge onto you guys, so you guys understand that I ain't talking a bunch of like hula, so you guys can know that there is statistical information and understanding behind what I'm talking about. If we also look at this type of thing as well, on a completely different matter, if we could try to understand, okay, well, is the market pumping out of nowhere, right? Is the S&P 500 pumping out of nowhere? Well, no, not necessarily, because earnings are going up, and that's the reason why the S&P 500 is going up. Nvidia earnings are going up. Most of the Magnificent Seven and the majority of the S&P 500 are showing higher than expected earnings in an environment where liquidity is at its lowest and unemployment is at its highest, and job creation is at its lowest. However, this is how crazy this market is, right? There is going to be a point that if unemployment does and job creation does not sort itself out, right? We are in a scenario where the S&P 500 is going bonkers, but unemployment, all right, is going up and job creation is going down. Something is going to give. And whether this rate cut can be a perpetual rate cut is the only way I see this coming into a level of fruition. And the dot plot is absolute insanity mess, where some saying that there's no cut, some say there's 3 cuts, some saying that there's 2 cuts, some saying that there's a rise, they should increase interest rates. And the reason why that is because no one knows anything at this present moment, especially as these job numbers are coming off data that even the Fed even he said was like, you know what? You know, we expected it to have a revision. Like, do you know what I mean? It's the most ridiculous thing he's saying. But right now, right, also another interesting aspect that you guys need to understand as well is that unemployment, while it's bad, it's not great, it's not a good sign of everything going on, is almost wholeheartedly pivoted towards the younger crowd. The youth have a job problem. The people that are older have job retention. So, and the thing you need to understand is that what drives markets? Is it young, poor, jobless, not having any type of income and liquidity to drive a market? Or is it the older people that have a job that's driving the market? Because remember what one of those questions were. They were like, do you think it's sustainable that this one sect of the workforce and the economy is holding and driving the growth of this economy? There's going to be a point where something has to show its direction. This is the thing where we are right now. And another thing, and I've done a video, you guys should definitely watch this after the stream, because I've done a video of how long I think this bull run can go. If we look at another thing, right? We are currently in the 3rd year of a bull run. And the average length of a bull run is 8 years. And there are indicators that have come out that point towards a further continuation of the bull run going in and further growth. So where we are right now is I was about to swear there, knows. Who knows? But I'll say this, right? And I'll say this clearly in my understanding of and the best way I can give my 2 cents on this. If we pull back, which there are signs and every reasoning why you think, right, that there would be a pullback, as there is for there to be a run, we will see a further elongated run in most assets. Right? This is the thing that you need to understand. The market right now needs to absorb and understand whatever that is, because the Fed has no idea. It's saying on one hand that unemployment is not that bad, but it's saying it is bad, and we're cutting to support that, but we're not cutting enough, so it causes inflation, and there is a duality problem where there is no win-win scenario. It's either we lose jobs and people are unemployed, and eventually that will cause growth problems, or we cut and we face inflationary issues where he said it himself. Right now, the inflation numbers that we have right now, what we are playing with is a manufacturing and wholesale environment where they are absorbing the price increases. There will be a point where they don't do that. And whether this older generation that is still in employment and who's driving this economy can withstand that price growth and keep that growth going is going to be a very interesting thing to see. Because we need to understand, do we go into a form of stagflation? Is it a stagflationary event where we don't have growth and also inflation? It is damn. But what I will say is this. We're talking about somewhat localized time understanding of what's going on, right? But I will say long term, I am extremely bullish. People are saying that things are not going to be good next year. I think next year is going to be insane. I think next year is going to be absolutely insane. We're going into an environment where we will finally understand what rate cuts are. We'll understand what tariffs are. We'll be in a scenario where there'll be stable coin deflationary aspects. It's going to be a super high liquidity period. I mean, where does gold is going down and SPX doesn't know what to do? Like the market really does not know what's going on. If we pump, I mean, like, look at that. It's just insanity. Look at this, man. 1 second. Look at this. Like M2 money supply is going up, which is great, right? But is the Dow Jones? I've never seen a more confused market right now. I've never seen a more confused market right now. Exactly. This is not even debatable bullish through 2026. I'm definitely bullish. Your input and understanding about these economic relations is incredible, Alvarez. Thank you so much. It really helps me keep control of my emotions. Don't think I'm just my understanding. I'm just trying to absorb, like everyone else, what is going on. Dow is pumping, S&P's and Nasdaq confused. Alvarez, what position are you in? Right now, anyone that says that there is a particular direction this thing is going is lying to you. The market has no idea. Like, there is a fight going on at the moment with the SPX right now as well. I'm surprised that gold is going down. But gold could just be going down to 1 second. I really don't see a way that why gold should be retracing right now. There is maximum uncertainty. Maximum. Oh my God, Stewie, is going down because it's changing. No, nothing is changing at the moment. My friend in the bank, what was that? My friend in the bank told me XRP will hit 5. Are you sure he works in the bank? Are you sure that he works in the bank? Look, one other thing I want to tell you guys, right, is that the dollar is coming into an interesting point right now. I'll tell you this, look, if the dollar breaks it, there will be a point where it taps this trend line. There's going to be an area where it touches this the trend line, right? If we break the 95.5 level, that's mega. That's full-blown alt season. That will be going to a different level. I haven't talked about this for a while because it hasn't been relevant, but it's still... I do love how everything is down. SPX is like, and then gold is like, and Bitcoin is like, Give us yourself Alpha Pappuccino. Red, could you categorize this kind of rate cut? What to expect? A beta will be appreciated. Thank you so much. I only give beta. Yeah, Bonk is up because they have enough liquidity to go to the moon, right? I don't know. To me, that does not sound bullish. His conversation did not sound bullish at all. Actually, let's see if there's some big bank guys talking about this thing. No, that's not it. Let's see if there's anyone. Here we go. Let's see if
yeah, I'm an AI, but I'm here to talk apps.
Are you an AI? Are you here to talk about apps? In it, Brev. Okay, Brev, I need to get pro on this. All right, okay.
Factor into how we price in term premium, the value of the long end of the curve,
I'm curious what they're going to say.
Inflation protection, and the longer you go on above that 2% target, the more and more we start to price those things in. But my earlier comments,
Am I an AI?
Now everybody's focused on the labor markets, and the key here, presumption that we're going to test is that inflation that's still coming down the pipe in terms of the tariff pass-through, is that one-off? Everyone's pricing
Exactly.
one-off. Hopefully that's correct. But the data and the evolution of the data and the relative change between the inflation and the labor market data is going to shift that focus. Right now, the back end's pretty contained. Because the inflation data isn't accelerating at the same time as the labor market.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, but Jeff,
For
you know
now.
what John's talking about. If this is essentially a central bank that has chosen,
Can you
and
make
they chose the labor
a
market
video
over
difference between
inflation,
trading and investing?
then
Of
you would
course.
expect
Yeah,
there to
of course.
be a much bigger
It's
risk
a
premium
time period
on
thing.
some of the long-term bond yields. It's come off, and I just wonder if, let's say, President Trump selects Chris Waller to be the next Fed chair. How much does that risk premium come back because it takes off the prospect of more aggressive yield curve control? In other words, how much
Yeah, that's
is a
also
sort of
true.
subdued reaction in long-term bonds sort of predicated on this idea that this will be a very creative Federal Reserve and a very creative Treasury Department?
I mean, I think on the prospects of innovation and a change in policy, I think a lot of it will have
Actually,
to
let's
be
have a look. What is
the actual actions.
what is the
as opposed
10-year?
to the potential for
Oh,
those
no.
actions. Very hard for the bond market to price in those changes in policy until the likelihood of those other scenarios in terms of policy innovation are more clearly identifiable in terms of the probabilities. Right now, they remain kind of in the realm of possibility, but as long as they're in the realm and not in the
Here we go.
likelihood, it's hard to price those things in. I think the second piece around it is really going to be how the data evolves to inform both those policy choices and the relative trade-off between this lack of risk-free path. If inflation is accelerating and the labor markets are not decelerating, then the shift in the focus can flip to inflation. How do policymakers
Exactly.
react to that? And is that reaction consistent with
Do you understand how ridiculous and how difficult it is to actually understand what the market's doing right now?
alongside the changes in data?
If we get Chair Rick Reader, I'm loading up on bonds. Okay, Jeff?
Oh wow! Don't say that,
You don't have to
man.
respond to that. Don't get in
Don't
trouble.
say that, man.
You run. Jeff
Don't
Rosenberg
say
of
that.
BlackRock. Thank you,
That's
sir.
not funny,
Gavin
man.
Myron.
Ain't funny.
What are the odds he becomes Chairman Myron? What are the odds that someone like him joins the committee? And what would that do to the perception of this Federal Reserve? And how would it change financial markets? That dot there is really, really important for 2026 and how we should be thinking about this institution.
It's the tariffs, completely.
and what
The
their
tariffs are
approach
the
will be,
only
how it
thing
will
that's
change,
causing
how
all this
persuasive,
problem.
How credible it might be. We've got to ask some big, big questions about next year.
Because the
for
tariffs are
monetary
not
policy
set.
and financial markets.
Yeah, and the difficulty in understanding whether the market is actually responding to that dot.
It's not funny,
Are
but
we
you laugh.
getting a sense of
You
what the
can't cry,
market's
man.
reaction
It's on it.
will
I
be
can only
to
laugh.
that type of approach to monetary policy, or are people dismissing it? This is not somebody who was able to get some of the other members to come on board with him, and so it is just one person on a committee.
More than ages, years, I'm looking meeting to meeting to meeting. It's a Fed that's going to be overcome by events.
Will you wake up a little bit earlier and join us tomorrow? Do you fancy that?
I can
Are you
do
going
it.
to stay in bed?
Come in. No,
What do we have to pay TK to make you wake up earlier in the morning?
I got the Bentley. It's the getting the car down Fifth Avenue is really difficult.
It's difficult.
But if you want,
you know, they talk about the haves and the have
How wealthy is this guy?
Yeah.
How rich is this guy, do you think? Just tell me, please, someone. How wealthy do you think this guy is? What's going on with this thing? I'm buying bonds is such a messed up thing to say. That's like cool. Yeah, that's not a good sign. Them saying something like that ain't a good sign at all. I'm just worried that when market opens, it gets below my stop loss. Where is your stop loss? Yeah, the 10-year going up. I didn't look at the 10-year. The 10-year and the 30-year going up is not a good thing. But it's sustainable. It's not anywhere near in the realm of issues. Yeah, everything is. Yeah, there's some level of reactivity. I mean, the larger coins are doing well. Oh wait, what's going on here?
You have to relearn which tool to use when, and
okay, I don't care about that. Someone, yeah. Anyway, look at the way the S&P 500 is just sitting there. Gold is sitting there as well. There's no real movement at this present moment. Although if gold breaks that 21-day EMA, that could have a real aggressive pullback. It could go all the way down to the 3636. It looks like the markets are seeing this in a favorable light. Look, with Bitcoin, right? With Bitcoin, we have to be careful. Let me just tell you that. Jesus. It must not break. It must not hold below the 115,200. It must not close below that level. The market is hella confused right now. I'm confused. I mean, if you look at USDT dominance, it still looks heavy. It still looks within range. It's rejected off the 21-day EMA, which is a good sign. Bitcoin dominance is really rejecting off, which is a great sign. That's a great sign. Alts will be playing really well. What does is it DXY? Ooh, man! If the DXY can close below the $96,930, then we're on for a pump tomorrow. Or even maybe into Asia, to be honest, actually. Total 3 looks like it is ready to go. Total 3 looks like it is ready to go. That looks ready to go. You know what else looks ready to go? You know what else looks ready to go? I'm joking. I'm messing around. Yeah, Total 3 looks really good. Really good at this present moment. I do love how the market, crypto is doing some level of, I mean, I guess if the market turns on is risk on, then Web3 is going to do really well. Man, yeah, alts look really strong at the moment. I think we might pump into tomorrow, you know. Alts might pump until tomorrow. I have some, Alvarez, I have something to show you. Artemis, I don't want to see what you have to show me, all right? I really don't want to see what you have to show me. It's very kind of you. I'm sure it's impressive. I'm sure all the ladies are like, oh my God, that's incredible. I just don't want to see it. I just don't. All right? You must be proud. I would be proud as well if you're going around trying to get people to see it. But let's just not be. I already have a Japanese toilet. I love my Japanese toilet. All right. You know, the last time I was on my Japanese toilet, I was thinking of you guys. So just so you understand that you're always in my mind. All right. You're always in my mind. I love you all deeply, even when I'm in my private, intimate moments with like, you know, Niagara Falls going on down there. Yeah, it looks like it looks like the market is judging this. What is going on? Did I get a new chair? No. Although I'm eyeing up a new chair. It might be a momentous occasion when I get I'm getting my office done at the moment. My new studio, so you'll see everything. Thanks, much appreciated. The market has no idea what's going on. The market has no idea what's going on. Look, I think right now we have to be full-blown wait and see. If we do start pumping tonight, which is a real possibility, we could do that, right? We could really definitely, most probably do that tonight. There could be a chance if once, markets are low-key bullish. It's giving me that vibe as well, but it's also not, like gold going down is a bullish vibe. Altcoins going up shows that there is a appetite for risk, real risk. But the S&P 500 is not looking too strong. I mean, that's a perfect rejection of the 21-day EMA. Confusion, guys, man. I'm in confusion right now. That shows real strength in the graph right now. It's so hard to read these, man. It's so hard to read this. I followed your stream from TikTok yesterday. I came back today. Just want to say, good ship, keep grinding. Oh, thank you so much, man. For the boys, that is such a lovely. Oh my god, man! People on the tube are so much nicer than the tickety talk. The tickety talk, everyone's like, "Why is your face a face? Why do you wear glasses? Why is your hair on your head?" That's the comments I get, man. Oh man, I've had the best insults of my life on TikTok. It's a place, man. Why are you in the room? What's your sky bunker about? As if that's an insult. As if that's an insult. Sound like a Bond villain. We love you, bro. I appreciate it. All the love is back, man. All the love is back to you guys. Thrill everywhere. Where are you going from here after the Fed cut? The market, she will fray pay off one day for. I don't know what that is, but I appreciate it, man. It sounds like I'm getting I'm assuming that's a I'm gonna take it as a compliment. I don't know what that I take it as a compliment. That's how people are on TikTok, man. I got asked if I was a moron all the time because I wore a dress shirt tie and I was military. Yeah, you said platform's built for business. Business, really? Is it built for business? I guess so. Yeah. Sorry, younger generation talk. All right, yeah. Sorry, bro. I didn't know what that was, man. Oh my god, that made me feel old. Jesus. for translation, the shit will pay off one day for real. All right, okay, thank you so much. As in, like, you like my content or I don't know, man. Happy to get confirmation. I was thinking we would get. Look, right now. I mean, look at the gold. Look at that wick on gold. Does someone look at that wick on gold? How does that show any level of understanding of where this market wants to go? That is the most unsure candle I've ever seen on gold. You know that wait, let me find it. Let me find it. One second. I'm gonna find this. 1 second. The market, I'm gonna give you the perfect analogy. Gold to drop-ish. Is it drop? maybe it's sitting at the previous wick. If it loses that, yeah, it'll drop. But the market is also buying. And I'm gonna show you. You know what the market is, right? All right. Okay. This is the market right now. So I'm gonna give you a perfect analogy of the market right now. Perfect analogy. This is the perfect analogy of the market right now. This is the perfect analogy. All right. Okay. Why is there no sound? Why is there no sound? That's not the mark. Perfect analogy of the market.
It's Malakia, 100% Malakia. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
That's the market right now. That is the perfect analogy of where we are in the market right now. That's the perfect analogy. Right? That's what this Fed meeting is. That's where we are right now. That's where we are right now. Gold looks like, look, the market looks like it wants to be risk on. QPFM, so I hit my, and then altcoins pumping slowly, but altcoins are pumping. Is what I can say. To me, the Fed was not bullish at all, but it wasn't really hawkish as well. So I think the market is going to remain somewhat somewhat oblivious to the inflationary problem, and they're going to just be happy for the rate cut, which will bring in liquidity into the market. Because we need to also understand that the money markets right now are in a problematic situation right now, right? So they're not going to be earning as much as everyone thinks. But pumping into what that was, God, man, I would not. There wouldn't be enough money for people to pay me to trade today. I would not touch a single thing today, especially if you are in high leverage positions. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. At any second, this thing can pump or nuke. Any second, like literal any second. I don't know. I'm as lost as you. Just saw it. I was trading stocks today. Yeah, you're a bigger man than I am, man. Bitcoin dominance is dropping, and that's because altcoins are pumping. So altcoins are seeing positivity at the moment, which is a good sign. So is this a barometer of the market wanting to be more risk on and seeing it? And well, it would nuke because there's a lot of liquidity at the bottom, at lower levels. Around 108, 109, there's massive levels of liquidity. Humongous. But also there's massive levels of liquidity around 118 as well. Which is at the absolute perfect level of this golden pocket. But I will say this, right? I'm going to say this right now. And this is my only thing that I know for certain. Is if this market pumps into this zone, right? Especially if it hits the upper zone level here, I am shorting like nothing else. Like nothing else. Because there's definitely going to be some sort of a reaction off that point there. And I kind of low key don't want this to pump right now. Because if we pump, like if we really, really pump, then we're going to have a very, very a very short alt season, and I want this to be a long alt season. I don't know why alts are pumping right now. They shouldn't be pumping right now. In going into this level of uncertainty, they really shouldn't be pumping right now. Does this mean the start of a... Does this mean the start of a somewhat mini alt season? Could that be? You look confused because I am confused. Nothing makes sense right now. How can the SPX be down but gold be down at the same time? But altcoins be pumping? In what world does that make sense? It may be new beginners. No, it can't. New beginners can't move this type of market like this. It would be market makers doing this. And if it's market makers doing this, oh man, they are going to... They might dump it on your face aggressively. Solana looks... Let me look at Solana. Solana looks so strong. It looks so strong. That looks so strong. Like, that looks... I bet you if I drew the fib, that will hit it perfectly. Yeah, look at that. Absolutely perfectly. I mean, it's the wrong way around, but same thing. Absolutely perfectly. Look at that. Solana looks unbelievably strong. What about Ethereum? What's Ethereum doing? I'm just trying to absorb what's happening. Yeah, Ethereum also looks good as well, bouncing off the 21-day EMA. OpenSea long Solana 236. Why would you say? I mean, going into a Fed meeting with like that, you got some cojones, my friend. Some cojones. 236. Oh, it's okay. I think Solana will at least try and test the upper limits, possibly the 252. Right now it looks like the market is wanting to be somewhat risk on, and that recovery of the S&P 500 looks also really good, but it's not moving. All right, 4 minutes. All right, let's give it 4 minutes until the day ends. All right, we will see in 4 minutes what happens. Let's see what in 4 minutes. What the Asia Open is going to do. Oh my God. Because as you can possibly see right now, dominance is falling. Altcoins are going, but whether it can break the look, the 57.96 is really key for dominance, right? Whether we go down here and that's some sort of bear trap. No, they didn't end. It hasn't ended. XPS has got 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 32 seconds. 3 minutes. Todd, thank you so much for sharing, man. That's really kind. I mean, the Northwest Group. What's the Northwest Group? What'd you guys do? It seems like you're some sort of financial professional. And it means a lot that if you're here, you know, try not to insult me. Oh man, I do love how I mean, it's 3 minutes, right? Until the day ends. It has to be, right? Am I wrong? Yeah, no, it's 3 minutes. I mean, it depends where you are, I guess. It depends on the country that you're in. But in my one, it's 2 minutes and 44 2 minutes and 44 minutes, people. All right, after that, and then I'm going to head off. And then you guys can be left to your own devices to try and realize what insanity is actually going on right now.
It's malakia, 100% malakia. And sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. It's malakia, 100% malakia.
Oh yeah, maybe. I think it's a 4 hour. Maybe the 4 hours going to close. Whatever. I'll give it 2 more minutes and see what's happening. But the market right now is looking like it's more risk on, which is surprising. Which is surprising right now. That officially does not make sense to me. Maybe it's seeing a high level of... I knew it. You know what he's saying? Man, it's just all I know about this. Sometime maybe good, sometime maybe... That's what the season right now is gone into. It's not a retail market. It's definitely not a retail market. It's definitely... This is hard, man. We're in the real hard times right now. Come on. November, I don't know. I mean, look, I kind of want to dump. Can I say that's what she said to that? Or is that wrong? Arrow's pumping because of the airdrop, man. It's the stupidest thing. Everyone wants to get an airdrop right now. Yeah, that Solana is looking really good. Arrow, but everyone wants to get an airdrop, and because Arrow has these perpetual contracts in it, it's the most efficient way to farm the base token. So people are like throwing money at this and doing 300 million transactions a second to try and get as much of an airdrop as possible. They're just farming the airdrop. That's why this thing is going. When the airdrop happens, this ain't gonna go well for this. I'll tell you that now. Why do you want to die? I don't want to. When the bear market, well, no, I'm not saying. I'm saying that. Oh, gold looks like it's going. Okay. Okay, so look, it's looking like the market it's wanting to become risk on, which is good, right? Which is a good sign. It means that it doesn't see weakness in the market, and it sees that the Fed is doing what is right for the market at this present moment, and the risk is more on the unemployment side, and thinking that inflation is not a problem, which is interesting. I mean, I guess the fact that he did say it's going to be a momentary increase in prices. All right, cool. All right, it looks like the market is going up, which is a good thing, right? I would say with Bitcoin, if it does go, be very, 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 very careful, really careful of between the around the 118,000 level. Be very careful there. If it goes up all the way to the 120, which is a real possibility tonight, right? Real possibility that could happen tonight. Then I would be looking to do some form of short. I missed the meeting. Did they cut the rates? Yeah, they cut the rates before the meeting, man. Yeah, they cut the rates are not an issue. The rates were going to be cut anyway. I don't understand these people who are like, oh, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. You like that laughs at his own jokes. I don't laugh at my own jokes. I laugh at good jokes, which just happen to be my own jokes. It's not that difficult to understand. Yeah, I think the market is looking risk on, for sure. Which could be a massive bear trap. I mean, bull trap. Could be. But play along, man. Play with the movement. Like, you know, some of the majors are looking really, really good at this present moment, which is a good sign. I like it. Cool. Okay, look, guys, that's been an amazing amazing live. You guys are absolutely incredible. People here who need to watch my video after this as well. And we will see and catch tomorrow. Let's see what the triple witching event is going to do. Anything of any resemblance, but it looks like the market wants to be risk on, which would mean that it's going to be a pump, take out that liquidity around the 118 to 120 level, and then it's decision time. That level there is decision time, and decision time is going to be whether we break through the upper level of this, the 123,000 level, or we retrace down all the way down to what I would describe as the key level, which will most probably be around the 108,000 level. That's where the majority of the liquidity is. If it does do that, I am buying gargantuan amounts of altcoins, absolute ridiculous amounts of them, and we can see what goes from there. All right, let's see where it goes. You guys have been awesome, incredible. Press the like and all that kind of stuff. Press the share and all the bell icons and all the other stuff and everything else on that level. Let's see where this goes. Yeah, the market wants to be risk on. Cool. Is gold going down? If gold, I'll tell you this, if gold breaks the 3,066 on the day close, that will mean massive bullish momentum. That will mean that in going into Asia is going to be huge. All right, guys, love, connection, all that kind of stuff, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace, 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 peace. All right, for you guys as well. I'll see you later. Bye.